we figure out a way to get the resources to them. Sometimes it's just knowing that people care. It's hanging on and not losing your faith in spite of a scandal, right? It's the whole gamut. That is, being a Christian. And it's just amazing what you run into sometimes. You mentioned like the red pill in the Matrix, like that's a good analogy. And I'm gonna riff off of that a little bit further, because one thing that I've found myself having to explain sometimes is when people do get exposed to what Catholicism really is for the first, like it's weird to say it, but like for the first time on such an adult level, which is part of being a young adult, like it's like, it it can be overwhelming. It can be daunting. And, Father Ripperger, he comes warts and all, just like the rest of us, right? Like he's very choleric. And as, statistically, the vast majority of priests are. And, but he's a man's man. Like he's a father. He's, like that old school style. And that's where we kind of also come in to like make it relatable. It's not about, like it's not going to work if it doesn't resonate. But, then people ask these questions like, how did I get to this age and not ever know anything like this before? Why have I never heard it from the pulpit, right? Like, and so we have to be able to supply an answer for that, because that's part of explaining the new evangelization, right? And one quick and simple way that I find myself having to explain it sometimes is, well, think of the concept of the fact that we, part of being Christian and Catholic from day one is that we reject contraception. And then you look at the Pew statistics or whatever, and 9 out of 10 plus Catholics are doing that or have done that at some point. Right. And it's like, so that means that most of us don't really know what we're doing, right? Like, or the blind are leading the blind, or whatever the thing might be. And it's not a judgment statement. It's just a reality that, wow, there's this field hospital, there's this battlefield all around us. Like, people are bleeding out left and right. And you do kind of have to be tough enough to manage that as part of the spiritual warfare. And by the way, that's where confirmation came in, right? We are soldiers for Christ. And I think one of the more profound testimonies to our effectiveness with all of this is the fact that we have had people throughout the totality of our men's nights, women's nights, and co-ed nights that make the drive up to 90 minutes one way, week in and week out, just to experience this, right? Like, anyone can go watch Father Ripperger's or any of the other priests that we've brought in. Like, he's definitely our main, like, spiritual father by virtue of electronic communication.
Right.
But he's not the only one. And anyone can go get access to that. You can turn on the radio, you can go plug in YouTube right now. But it's different when you actually have people to walk with, when you have that accountability, when you have a local resource, right? Principle of subsidiarity being what it is, when you actually plug in within your diocese, within your faith community, to get the deeper resources that you need to make it work for you. Right? That's where knowing your temperament comes in. Temet Noske, right? At the top of when Neo walks into the oracle's house for the first time. Keep going with the analogy, right? Know thyself, right? So understand your temperament, understand your personality, understand the fact that we all have a guardian angel and a guardian demon, right? It's like the whole, like, a good one on the one shoulder, a bad one on the other shoulder. Like, that's real. There is someone following you around trying to take you out at all times. Don't mean to scare you, but this is a young adult program. And so it's like, what are you going to do? Do you understand the 7 deadly sins? Can you name them? Can you name the opposite virtues? Do you know, the cardinal virtues, the theological virtues, the 3 kinds of grace, the 9 levels of prayer? Come to Dynamis, because we can explain it and cater it to your individual soul's needs.
Yeah, it really is a beautiful thing. And, like you said, like the fact that people are willing to, drive out like extended times just to be able to like be a part of that community and get their questions answered, especially get their questions answered by, people studying theology or people with masters in theology, people that are regular attendees of our group, having those resources and having that community, like, it's huge.